Hey everyone, welcome back to One Code Camp. Once again, this is Ron, and welcome back to the One Code Camp channel. In today's video, we're continuing our journey through the RESTful API development. This is actually an extension of our API series. We'll explore updating articles using the put request, assembling a patch, and implement a powerful feature, which is to delete our articles API development endpoint. If you're eager to expand your API skills and learn more about these operations, you're in the right place. I hate to keep you waiting, so let's dive in. In one of our previous video, we have demonstrated on how to update an article using the patch method, which updates a partial field from our article document. In this video, we will update all fields of an article using the put method. What will actually happen is, we will replace the entire data with a new data representation. So to start working with this, as usual, let us proceed to the article controller. To make our code organized, let us add a comment. And the comment will be update full article using the put method. Now let's create a function expression and let's name it update full article. This is then followed by an equal sign and the async keyword because this process is asynchronous. After this, let's create an arrow function. This function will handle two parameters, the request and the function. Just like the other function controller, to get the ID, we will get the request.params and destructure the ID. What happened here is that this request coming from the client has a request body. And from that body of request contains parameters and one of these is ID. So we have destructured this ID in order for us to extract this ID coming from the request. And now that we have destructured this ID, our next step involves validating if this ID is in a valid format. And to do this, we will just simply use a conditional statement. And for this condition, we will use exclamation mark indicating not, followed by mongoose because we are using the mongoose format, followed by that types and that object ID to check the type of a valid object ID. And finally, let us use the that is valid and pass in the ID that we would like to check. After that, we will send the response status 404 and a message article not found in a form of JSON to the client server. Let us just type rest.status and pass in 404. This is then followed by a JSON error message article not found. Our next procedures involves finding the article and updating it, so let's place this in a constant variable, and let's name it article. We will use await since this process is asynchronous. This is then followed by our article schema, and the method that we're going to use is find one and update. Now this find and update method will handle two arguments. The first one represents the query or filter criteria to find the document that you want to update. And the second one contains the data that you want to use for updating the document. We will also use the new option and set it to true. This means that the article variable in your code will hold the updated document and the changes applied. Again, let us add a comment to make this code organized. What we will do here is find the article by ID, and we will update it with the new data. And of course, that data is coming from this request.body and we select the option new into true. The next step that we're going to do is to check if the article exists in our database. And to do this, let us add a conditional statement. For the condition, we're going to use the exclamation mark followed by the article variable. Basically, we're going to check if the variable is a false value. And then we're going to return a response status 404 and a response JSON article not found. Let me just fix my typo in here. This should be rest, not restart. And also, I forgot the return keyword in the line or statement number 83. Let me also add a comment for these lines of codes. Finally, now that we are done checking if the article exists, basically we're done in finding and updating this article. So let's send a response status 200 and the JSON article back to the client. And for the final touch, we're going to import this function or this update full article using the module.exports method. And for this, let us just add this update whole article in this module.exports. And that is perfect, so far so good. Now that we are done exporting this update whole article controller function, what we're going to do is import this function in the article routes. Let us just type it in here. And of course, let's create a router for this function. Let us also just add a comment update a whole article using the put method. And this one will be patch method. Let us add a comment on this one as well. As usual, we're going to start with the keyword router. This is then followed by a period and the method that we're going to use. And this time, we're going to use the put method. And also, let us pass in the ID as the first argument that this method will going to handle. And the second one will be the function controller update whole article. And we are actually done. First, we have created this update whole article controller and then exported it and imported it inside the article router. After importing this function, we have created a router for this controller. Now that we're all set up and done, let us now run this server using the terminal. Alright, right now our server is connected to the database and it is up and running. Let us now try and test this server and see if there are any errors. Now let us proceed to Postman to test this. In this database document collections, I have created mock sample entries. Let me just show it to you. Let us just send a get all request. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select one of these documents and update the data inside of that document. And for us to do that, let us click the plus icon and create a new request. The API endpoint will be the same. Let us just change the method that we're going to use. This time we're going to use the put method, and also let us select the body tab and the option row. And of course, for the body of request, let us select the JSON option. Let us also get the ID of the document that we would like to update. Let me just select and highlight one of the document's ID and click copy. And of course, let us paste it here in our endpoint. And for the body, let us just copy a template coming from our patch request. Now remember that this is the data that we would like to update. Mastering the Art of Public Speaking by Grace Miller. We will change its title, content, and the author. Now let's change the title. Let's say the new title will be My RESTful API Journey. For the content, let us just add, this is my RESTful API journey. Now let us change the author to Ron Gilbert. Now this new body of content should replace our current body of content in our database. Now let us try sending this body of request using the put method. And there we have it, our server successfully processed our request and returned the article back to us. Now let us also check our updated database using the getAll method. And there we have it, we can see that we have successfully updated all fields of our document. Now in this video tutorial RESTful API series, we have successfully demonstrated both patch, which updates a partial update of our document, and put that updates all or the entire fields of our document. Now there is only one method that I would like to demonstrate, and that is deleting all documents or all articles stored in our database. Now let us proceed to MongoDB to see our collection of database. Let us just click the Browse Collections. And in this cluster, we can see that we have 11 documents or articles. These are the mock articles that I have created using the post method. And we can also see the last article that we have updated or modified. Now let's create a new API endpoint that will going to delete all of these documents inside this cluster. And to do that, let's proceed back to the VS Code. Alright, let's proceed again to the article controller file and create a function controller for the delete all articles function. Let me just add a comment, delete all articles. Now let's create a function expression, and this time let's call it delete all articles. This function is of course asynchronous, so let's use the async keyword. This is then followed by an arrow function. And to make this code easy to read and easy to maintain, let me add again a comment. Now let's create a function call and call it article. And inside this, we're going to use the method delete many. Again, we will use our article schema followed by the delete many method. Inside this method, we will place an opening and closing curly braces. This represents an empty object, or we're going to delete all articles. Now this code is very simple, and you can notice that it is very much the same with our getAllArticles method. And also, we will use the keyword await since this process is asynchronous. And of course, we're going to send a response status to 100 and a message that all articles have been deleted in a form of JSON. We have an error because this message should be encapsulated in an opening and closing curly braces. Now all that is left to do is to export this delete all articles function controller. Let us just add it here in the module that exports. And now that we are done exporting this, let us import this in our router. Let us just add it here in our import statement. Let us type in delete all articles. Then finally, let's create a router for this one. Let us just add a comment, delete all articles. For this one, we will use the router and the delete method. And the route for this one is just a forward slash. For the second argument, we will pass in the delete all articles function controller. Alright, we are now done setting up our delete all articles and our server is already connected to database and listening to port 4000. Now that our setup for this router and controller is done and our server is up and running, let's now try and test this API. And for that, let's go back to Postman. In the Postman, let's click the plus icon to create a new request. And of course, this time we're going to use the method delete. The API endpoint will be the same, localhost 4000 API articles. Let us also check our database. And there it is, our database. We're going to delete all of these documents. Now let's try and send this request. But it seems like we have an error. Let us proceed back to VS Code and check if what caused this error. It says res is not defined, so it seems like the error is coming from our controller. And there we can see that I have actually forgotten to place the request and the response parameter inside the delete article method. Let us just pass it in here. Alright, we're good to go and hopefully there is no error this time. Now again, let's resend these requests to the server. And there we have it. We have successfully deleted all articles in our database. Now if we will send a get all request, we will see that our data is empty. Now to show you that this has been reflected to our MongoDB database, let's move on to MongoDB. Let us just refresh this page. And we can also see that every document or article inside our database has already been deleted. That concludes our video for today, and that's actually it in our REST API journey. This is the final and the last part of our REST API video. Once again, thank you very much for being with me from the first video up to this video, and I hope to see you guys again in our future videos. Happy coding!